happy but hard as Prince William and his new fiancée Kate Middleton face flashing bulbs and plenty of questions.
Just calm down with your flash a minute, please.
The first glimpse of the ring, as worn by William's mother, Princess Diana.
Princess Diana passed away many years ago, but her influence is still felt in the royal family today. And recently, people are talking about her again in the palace. A few days ago, someone found a personal item she had left behind. When Princess Catherine discovered what it was, she could not hold back her tears. It was not just about nostalgia. The discovery surprised everyone at the palace and moved royal watchers everywhere. So what exactly did Diana leave behind? And why does it still have such power after all this time? Join us as we uncover the story that is bringing past and present together most unforgettably. The secret meant for Charlotte. As part of her healing process, Princess Catherine chose to look through some of Princess Diana's belongings. She wanted something simple to help her feel grounded. In a velvet-lined box, Catherine found a jewelry case. Inside was a sealed envelope, clearly marked in Diana's handwriting, addressed to her future granddaughter. In the letter, Diana had opened up about the pressure of royal life, her hopes for change, and shared one powerful line that stood out: a wish for her granddaughter to grow beyond the title. The message deeply affected Catherine. Those living within the palace claim that's when she truly changed. Her role in the family and what she stood for felt different. The palace officials believed the brooch was destroyed in a fire, or that someone had stolen it years ago. They also thought it was gone forever. However, it was hidden among Diana's personal belongings. Experts now say the brooch's value was more than its material. It symbolized real power and was likely a family heirloom that had to be passed down at the right time. Everyone is now curious about who hid the brooch and why it remained a secret for such a long time. According to people who are aware of what's happening behind the scenes, Catherine and Queen Camilla are not in a good place, and they believe that this discovery could significantly worsen already existing issues. Though this event is more than just finding some antique royal jewelry, this is personal stuff being passed between women who have all dealt with the pressure of royal life, loss, and trying to make things better for the next generation. But what made this revelation even more powerful was what accompanied the brooch. Could an object so small carry a message large enough to shape the future of the monarchy? The brooch meant everything. It turns out that the brooch was never actually lost. Someone had just kept it tucked away. When it finally resurfaced, people couldn't stop talking about how striking it looked. The deep blue sapphire in the middle, surrounded by old-school diamonds. It originally belonged to Diana's grandmother, Lady Cynthia Spencer. But this piece was not like the flashy stuff Diana wore in public. It meant something different. Around the time her personal life was falling apart and the media wouldn't leave her alone, she took that sapphire and turned it into something unique. Right next to the brooch was a little folded card. It was nothing fancy. It was old and kind of worn around the edges. It was not signed or dated, but the message was clear. As soon as Catherine read it, she knew it was meant for Charlotte. But this is not just about handing down some pricey jewelry from one generation to the next. There is something much bigger going on here, and it has nothing to do with royal protocol or checking boxes on some centuries-old list of traditions. What Diana was really trying to say to the women in her family who would come after her was pretty simple. Everyone should get to decide what their life looks like. They should find people who actually love them for who they are. And when something matters to people, they should not back down from it. When Catherine read the letter, something in her shifted. People close to her say she took a quiet moment alone with Diana's words. And it hit differently. It was not just emotional. It felt like a wake-up call. This was not about royal duties or keeping up appearances. It was about what really matters moving forward. And from that point on, something changed in how she saw things. That kind of impact does not just stop with one person.
I don't always read that. People very willing to tell me that.
It lingers, it builds, and it starts to shape the choices that come next. So now people are wondering, what happens when that kind of clarity starts echoing through the next generation? And what does it mean for Princess Catherine's choices going forward? Diana's legacy ignites fire. Diana's impact on the royal family never really went away. But lately, it's been showing up in a different way through Kate. where Diana was all about wearing her heart on her sleeve and shaking things up publicly, Kate keeps things way more low-key. But people who actually know what's going on behind closed doors say Diana's fingerprints are all over how Kate operates. It's not about copying Diana's outfits or trying to recreate her famous moments. It's bigger than that. Kate seems to have picked up on Diana's core belief that people can't just go through the motions of being royal without remembering there's an actual person underneath all the laws and expectations. People who know Kate say reading that letter was like a switch flipped. She stopped going through the motions just because that's how things had always been done. For the first time in years, she realized she wasn't just filling a royal position. She was carrying forward something way more meaningful, something that had nothing to do with ceremonies or public appearances, and everything to do with being a real person in an impossible job. That's when Kate started seeing the bigger picture of what she was actually supposed to be doing. After that, Kate started writing her own letter. This one for Charlotte. She is not planning to release it or read it at a ceremony. This was just her being completely honest about what it's really like living in this weird royal fishbowl where everyone's watching your every move and you can barely breathe without someone analyzing it. Kate wrote about the stuff Diana used to talk about too. What love actually looks like when someone is under a microscope, how lonely it gets even when you're surrounded by people, and how you keep going when everything feels impossible.
Okay, no, this one I think should be fine. But I did get a bit emotional when I sang it in there because it's just like unbelievable venue.
The plan is to give Charlotte both letters when she turns 18, along with Diana's brooch. Thinking about it, it's basically 3 women from different decades having a conversation about the same impossible job. They all had the same title, but their lives were completely different. This whole thing has definitely made Kate feel more connected to Diana, but it's also making some people at the palace pretty uncomfortable. There are people who see this as Kate basically questioning how things are supposed to work, bringing up stuff they'd rather just leave in the past. But Kate seems to have made up her mind about something. She's not trying to erase what Diana stood for, or turn it into some sanitized version that makes everyone feel better. Diana's impact isn't supposed to live on through PR campaigns or public moments. It's supposed to matter in the real decisions that actually change people's lives. There's definitely tension simmering beneath the surface. Catherine's growing connection with the public, especially through symbols tied to Diana, has made some people inside the palace uneasy. Is Camilla, in particular, feeling the pressure from the loyalty people are showing Catherine, which mimics the love they had for Diana? Queen versus future queen. What really got to Camilla wasn't the media coverage or all the emotional reactions. It was watching how people responded. They didn't rally around her. Instead, people mourned Diana all over again. Someone inside the palace said Camilla could feel it happening in real time, getting pushed to the sidelines again by someone who has been gone for decades.
I had an end chair.
Here she was, finally wearing the crown she had waited so long for, and the public still sees her as the person who doesn't belong. Camilla got fed up pretty fast and decided to do something about it. Word is, she had people go through every single Diana item still sitting in the royal vaults to make sure there wouldn't be any more surprises popping up to make Kate look good. Her team started getting nervous, and not just about the bad press. They were worried about Kate herself. One of them apparently said what everyone was thinking, that she was too popular, and people loved her the same way they loved Diana. And the amazing part is, Kate was not even trying. She did not need to give speeches or come up with a master plan. She just acted like herself, wore Diana's jewelry, looked at her kids with love, and people ate it up. Diana and Camilla are stuck in history together, but they couldn't be more opposite. Diana was a young woman who wore her emotions on her sleeve, and people loved her for it, because she was real. She wasn't afraid to hug AIDS patients when everyone else was scared to even be in the same room, or walk through actual minefields to make a point about how dangerous they were. She basically threw the royal rulebook out the window whenever she thought it was getting in the way of actually helping people. The way she talked to the media, the way she opened up about her struggles, it completely changed what people thought royalty should look like.
And it wasn't a difficult decision in the end. It's what I wanted. It's what I want.
Camilla is the total opposite. She is old school, keeps her mouth shut, and follows the rules, which worked fine when she was just Charles's wife. But now that she's queen, people are comparing her to Diana every single day. And honestly, that is not a comparison anyone's going to win. It took Camilla years to dig herself out of the hole she was in during Diana's time. She basically kept her head down and did the work without making a big deal about it. While Diana was all about showing her feelings and connecting with people emotionally,
I've been actually trying to keep quiet about reaching 3/4 of a century.
Camilla went the other way, supporting things like literacy programs and charities without trying to make headlines. Camilla kept things steady by staying out of the spotlight, and for a while, that worked. But now, with Diana's story starting to resurface through Catherine, people are wondering if the royal family can handle both legacies without things starting to crack. A new chapter begins. The spotlight is definitely moving to the youngest royals now, George, Charlotte, and Louis. These kids are growing up in a totally different world from that of their parents or grandparents. Everything's online. People expect way more openness from the royals, but they still have to deal with all the old school traditions too. William and Kate are trying to walk this fine line with how they are raising them. The kids still do the formal stuff and learn about their future roles, but their parents are also making sure they get to be actual kids with their own personalities. That is something royals did not really get to do back in the day. They just followed the script, and that was it. It's pretty clear William and Kate learned from what happened to their own generation. They want their kids ready for royal life, but they also want them to know who they are outside of all that. Charlotte's got this weird pressure on her that the boys don't really have. With all this stuff coming out about Diana's brooch and that letter she wrote, which they're supposedly going to give Charlotte later, people are acting like she's going to be some kind of connection between the old royal family and whatever comes next. The thing is, Charlotte's only a kid right now, but everyone's already deciding what her role is going to be. That's a lot to put on someone who's still years away from even understanding what any of this means. But maybe that's the point. By the time she's old enough to make her own choices, she'll have these voices telling her it's okay to be herself instead of just what everyone expects. George is next in line after his dad, so he's getting the full treatment, learning all the royal stuff, but his parents are trying not to completely overwhelm him with it. William and Kate are being pretty strategic about when they bring him out, showing people you can still be royal without having your entire childhood turn into a performance. Louis is still little enough that none of this really affects him yet. He's just this kid who makes faces at cameras and acts up during ceremonies, which, honestly, people love because it makes the whole family seem more normal. He gets to be goofy and carefree while his older siblings are starting to figure out what their lives are actually going to look like. When people look at all three of them together, it's like you're seeing what the royal family could become, still doing their job, but not letting it completely take over who they are as people. Whether that'll actually work long-term is another story, but right now it's working. The People's Princess. Charlotte has become a total fan favorite, and it's not hard to figure out why. She's got this confidence that's pretty unusual for a kid her age, especially one who's constantly being photographed. When she's at public events, she doesn't hide behind her parents or look overwhelmed. She waves at people, seems totally fine with all the cameras, and handles the big formal occasions without falling apart. There's something about her personality that just comes through, even in those super-controlled royal appearances. People say they can see bits of Kate's composure in her. But also that same spark Diana had that made people pay attention. Charlotte doesn't seem scared of being royal or confused about what she's supposed to do. What people really like about Charlotte is how normal she seems despite all the royal stuff. Her parents have managed to create this environment where she gets to act like a regular kid, fighting with her brothers, being silly, sometimes bossing George and Louis around like any older sister would. That combination of being well-behaved when she needs to be but also having a mischievous side is what makes people connect with her. She is just a child who happens to be growing up in palaces. Charlotte's playful, down-to-earth personality offers a glimpse into how the next generation might handle royal life with more balance and authenticity. If this is the kind of future Catherine is shaping at home, how will it differ from the paths chosen by Meghan, Harry, and even William himself? Different paths, same crown. Kate and Meghan came into the royal family from completely different places, and it's pretty obvious when looking at how they've handled things. Kate had almost 10 years to figure out what she was getting into while dating William. She got to watch, learn the rules, and slowly ease into everything. That's probably why she seems so comfortable with all the protocol stuff and never really rocks the boat. Meghan was already a successful actress with her own platform and opinions when she married Harry. She didn't have that long adjustment period, and she came in ready to speak her mind about things. That immediately put her at odds with how the royal family usually operates. William and Harry are just as different as their wives when it comes to handling royal life. William always knew he was going to be king someday, so his whole life has been built around that reality. He keeps his mouth shut when things get messy, sticks to the plan, and doesn't make trouble for the institution. It's all about the long-term strategy for him. Harry went in the opposite direction, losing his mom the way he did, then dealing with the press hounding him for years. It all clearly messed him up. Instead of just sucking it up and playing his part like William does, Harry decided to blow everything up. He started talking publicly about family drama, moved to California, and basically forgot about the royal family. Both brothers dealt with the same trauma growing up, but they handled it completely differently. William buried himself deeper into the royal system, while Harry ran as far away from it as possible. Neither approach is necessarily wrong, but they definitely can't coexist in the same family without causing major problems. Catherine and William represent continuity. They rarely reveal personal grievances publicly and tend to focus on causes that fit within traditional royal responsibilities, like mental health, early childhood development, and environmental awareness. Their image is one of steadiness and reliability. Meghan and Harry represent disruption. They've taken on issues like racial injustice, media harassment, and mental health from a more personal activist standpoint, often speaking candidly about the struggles they faced behind palace walls. These four represent two totally different takes on what it means to be royal right now. One side sticks to tradition and stays inside the system. The other pushes boundaries and questions how that system even works. People have opinions on both, but together they show how the royal family is shifting. Do you think Princess Diana's legacy can still lead the way for the royal family, even after all these years? Or is Princess Charlotte now stepping up to become the new face of the monarchy? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.